a software engineer, technologist in my mid-40s working for big tech. Or rather, I was one. I was laid off from big tech just about 2 weeks ago. This layoff has led me to feel very confused, disoriented, a little bit excited as well. It's my first layoff in 25 years of working in the technology business.
Now, can you imagine being laid off after 25 years of work? There's some people that have been laid off multiple times throughout their decades of work, multiple times. But this is this guy's first layoff, which is not me trying to shame him, right? That's not the case here. I'm not trying to shame him for his layoff or about him being laid off, but there's people that have been laid off multiple times. Anyway, this is just a very common thing in today's world, especially in white collar jobs, engineers, management. It's just a common thing. But after this long and being laid off, and you have to start all over again, that's really, really fucked up. Anyway, let's keep going.
So where do we begin with all of this? I had started working with technology, writing code, building computers, doing these sort of things really early in high school. And by the time I was in college, I already started working, right, as not only in internships, but also in little contracts or gigs, writing little scripts and Visual Basic applications and these sort of things. So coming out of college, I worked as a consultant for various digital agencies. And those were some very awesome years, right? Because I had the chance of learning new programming languages and frameworks, and the world seemed limitless, right? Like I was one of those guys that you find in bookstores reading like an O'Reilly technical book, learning all of this code, frameworks, platforms, and I worked really, really hard at my craft and tried my absolute best to apply myself. Right, trying to learn as much as possible and try to do the very best job that I can.
Let me just say this. There's nothing wrong with going to school. There's nothing wrong with getting a certification. There's nothing wrong with learning and trying to better yourself, your craft. I fully support that, and that's a great idea and or habit. However, the same energy and time you put into learning whatever craft that you're learning that you're trying to learn to hopefully you land that job, that amount of time and energy, make sure you put that into starting your own thing, whatever it is. Just always have your own I guess side hustle or something that you can't control, meaning where you can't get laid off or fired because you own or control that operation. Hope that makes sense. Whatever it is, a side hustle, a small business, I don't care. Just have that same energy and time, added to your own business or operation. I think that is the way to go in today's world. There's nothing wrong with getting a job, but again, like this guy, he went to college, he's learning stuff, he's trying to just better his craft, his skills. That's awesome, but also put in time to having your own thing as well, because you can always be laid off or fired. I'm not against having jobs, but that's just a reality. You can't be let go. So make sure you have your own thing on the side.
For a time, I became very good at software. I felt like I was very, very strong at it. And it felt like I could build everything, anything I put my mind to. I got so strong at software development that at the time, early in my career, my company would send me specifically to hackathons. And in almost every hackathon, myself or the team that I was part of would come out in the top 3, almost consistently. And that was pretty wonderful. I dove into technology, into learning languages, frameworks, design patterns, understanding the infrastructure of computing and all the wonderful details that's involved in it. Now, one of the biggest shocks of my early career is the 2008 financial crisis. During that crisis, I saw that many of my older colleagues lost their jobs. And it was very hard and very much a shock to me to see that happening, right? There's people that, I respect, a mentor of mine that literally was broken down in tears because she couldn't provide for her family, right? She lost her position at work. And that's very hard for someone to take. At that juncture in 2008, 2009, I discovered this whole concept of financial independence, right? There was this book called Your Money or Your Life. And that book essentially taught people, or at least taught me, that there is this concept of life energy, right? Where you're essentially trading your life for money. And those concepts kind of got my mindset into one where you want to live frugally, you want to live more sort of below your means, and then from that you're able to save more money from your job, from your work, and then to put that towards investments. And the end result is that essentially you're using your frugality and your savings to buy your freedom, the freedom of your time from working for corporations. For a time, I became very good at software. I felt like I was very, very strong at it, and it felt like I could build everything, anything I put my mind to. I got so strong at software development that at the time, early in my career, my company would send me specifically to hackathons, and in almost every hackathon, myself or the team that I was part of would come out in the top 3, almost consistently. And that was pretty wonderful. I dove into technology, into learning languages, frameworks, design patterns, understanding the infrastructure of computing, and all the wonderful details that's involved in it. Now, one of the biggest shocks of my early career is the 2008 financial crisis. During that crisis, I saw that many of my older colleagues lost their jobs. And it was very hard and very much a shock to me to see that happening, right? There's people that, I respect, a mentor of mine that literally was broken down in tears because she couldn't provide for her family, right? She lost her position at work. And that's very hard for someone to take. At that juncture in 2008, 2009, I discovered this whole concept of financial independence, right? There was this book called Your Money or Your Life. And that book essentially taught people, or at least taught me, that there is this concept of life energy, right? Where you're essentially trading your life for money. And those concepts kind of got my mindset into one where you want to live frugally, you want to live more sort of below your means, and then from that you're able to save more money from your job, from your work, and then to put that towards investments. And the end result is that essentially you're using your frugality and your savings to buy your freedom, the freedom of your time from working for corporations.
This is something I talk about constantly on this channel in regards to basically buying back your time when it comes to having your own operations. You're hearing from someone that's been working for decades as an engineer, and he had to learn the importance of having your own thing, right? Just not relying so much on your 9 to 5 job. Again, this is not anti 9 to 5 job video. This is not a doom and gloom video, but just to help you be aware of the importance of learning how to live a frugal life, learning how to basically not depend on your employer or corporations, to fund your lifestyle, excuse me. And that's really your job, your finances and your destiny. Meaning you pretty much rely on yourself when it comes to earning revenue and not putting that type of, job on your 9 to 5 job, right? Not relying so much on that to help you live a comfortable lifestyle. Because at the end of the day, time is way more valuable than money. By you not having enough time because you're always at work, you can't spend time with your family or do things to build other operations because you don't have the time to do that. Hope that makes sense. All your time is being invested in your 9 to 5 job, which can be a bad thing because, again, if you don't have time to build other operations, help you, earn revenue while you're sleeping, basically, then I think you're doing yourself a disservice, a giant disservice. So far, this guy's just speaking truth, so let's just continue hearing him out.
So that was a kind of a pivotal moment, and it changed my family's behavior. We got way more frugal, and we did sort of live below our means. So over time, my career progressed. It sort of blossomed, right? I went from being a developer to being a tech lead of a squad of developers to being a software or enterprise architect that is designing higher level software platforms. And eventually that career trajectory led me to becoming a leader within the organization that I worked in. And I did change jobs a few times, right, over this 25-year span of time. But eventually I became senior technical leadership at the company that I worked for. And this career in tech gave me a lot of opportunities as well. So I was able to learn all of these things. I was able to work with cutting edge technologies. It gave me the opportunity to travel around the world. I traveled throughout North America. I went to Europe. I went to India. And that was an amazing experience. This career allowed me to be innovative. I have patents to my name. And probably the most wonderful thing about tech in general is the people. I can't say enough good things about the people that I worked with over these decades. For the most part, the vast majority of folks that I worked with have been incredibly smart, talented, disciplined, and the camaraderie and the willingness to work together on a common goal and to build things and make magic happen, that I've seen that almost throughout my entire career. Sure, there's always a few bad apples anywhere you go, but for the most part, the people was one of the best things about working as an engineer and as a technologist. Oh yeah, and one other thing, the money in technology is good, right? So for most of my career, the vast majority of my career, I earned a 6-figure salary. And that's a decent, comfortable salary. About 7 years ago, I switched from consulting to a big tech company. And that switch essentially opened up this massive money faucet where I was getting paid absolutely insane amounts of money. This whole concept of hey, you can get these restricted stock units that then you can sort of vest and then convert into even more money. It's absolutely absurd how much money I was getting paid. And I try to learn from the lessons of 2008 and 2009. So throughout all of that, I never stopped saving and investing. I always tried my best to live below our means. Now, over the years, there has been definite downsides a very hard business. I was working very long hours. And because of the globalized, geographically distributed nature of this business, teams began to be distributed across the world in different countries. And that led to not only long working hours, but also very odd working hours, right? Where you're up super early in the morning and then you're working super late at night. Tech is a business that moves fast. There's constantly new languages, new frameworks, new paradigms that are coming out. And to be relevant in this industry, you have to constantly be learning. And that constant learning came easy to me early on in my career. But certainly within the last 5 years or so, I've noticed that I'm getting slower. It's harder to learn when you're in your mid 40s. It just takes a while to learn new things. It takes longer. I can still do it, but it's taking me longer now. So all of this time being spent on this work. And yet, over the years, I realized that what I was building didn't really make much sense. It felt like we were solving the same problem over and over again, and the solution that I was helping to create, it never really benefited anything. These solutions that I was building, it didn't solve the big problems of the world. It didn't make the world a better place to live in. So it's sort of like you spend all of this time and you spend all of this effort, all this heart to build things, and it doesn't make a difference. That is a real downside of this business.
This is why I say constantly that this is the new era where the current job market is pushing many individuals to become self-sufficient, to become entrepreneurs by force, because there's multiple reasons why it just doesn't matter anymore trying to climb the corporate ladder, working so hard in terms of learning new skills, learning this, learning that. It's still a good habit, still pretty good, but what is the end result? Basically, losing your time. Right? That is the end result. You lost a lot of time building someone else's dream or whatnot and not building yours. Again, this is not anti-job. I keep saying that. I'm not anti-9-to-5 job. I'm not telling you not to go and find a job. I'm not telling you to quit your job, but just to be aware of the importance of having your own thing while working 9 to 5. That's my argument. That's my message to you. Always have your own thing going on. Some kind of side hustle, something that you can't control, meaning you can't get fired from it. You can't get laid off from it because you own it. You control it, right? I do understand this guy also has a coaching service where you can contact him and he can coach you in regards of tech, or if you have any type of questions about technology or advice in general from someone that has 25 plus years. He does have a coaching service. So this is what I'm saying. He has his own thing on the side. Yeah, he does. If you go on his channel, he does have a coaching service, which is, I think, is amazing. And this is what I'm saying. He was forced to do that because he was laid off after having a job for that long. This is exactly what I'm talking about. This job market is pushing people to become entrepreneurs by force. That doesn't mean he'll never go back to working for a corporation. I doubt that. Maybe he won't. I'm not sure, but I won't be surprised if he does take a job offer, if it makes sense in terms of him earning really good pay, the time, of course. It has to make sense. It has to fit his life. It has to make sense for him. I would not be surprised if he goes back to work, because if it makes sense, it makes sense in terms of, the job itself. But the point is, he is now basically an entrepreneur. He does have a coaching service. He does. So, like it or not, what I'm saying to you, this current job market is pushing people to become self-sufficient, and it's going to become something so common because I see it all the time on social media. People that I follow who had jobs or who still have jobs have some type of service or product that they're trying to sell. And I think that's freaking awesome. I hope they succeed so well. I hope they do great numbers in terms of, their sales, their clients. I hope they do fantastic things, because this is what's just a common thing in today's world. Many of us are becoming entrepreneurs because we don't have a choice but to, because of this job market.
So now we spent all this time, right? I spent all of this time working. That's time then that's taken away from other aspects of my life, like my family, my wife, my children. For a matter of years, I had maybe like an hour every weeknight with my kids. Just an hour to hang out with them, to read to my children, to tuck them into bed. And all the rest is spent working, planning, taking calls, commuting, and so on. My son and I, one of the activities that we really enjoy together is going out on these outdoorsy trips. Sometimes we'll go camping. Sometimes we're going to go fishing in different places. And I was thinking to myself that, gosh, my boy will be a man pretty soon. He's a teenager. I only have a couple of years before he's fully grown, and then he may not want to hang out with me anymore. It's really kind of rough when you think about that, right? That this precious time with your family is actually being spent to build things that in the grand scheme of things may not matter. Speaking of time, there was this really good colleague of mine. This is from a couple of years ago. The man was smart as a whip, an excellent engineer. He worked hard too. And it was around this time of the year, right before Christmas, there was this huge digital transformation initiative that we were both working on. And this colleague, let's call him Jay. Jay told me that he has a child and he was looking forward to hanging out with his kid. That finally, during Christmas break, he was going to get some time, quality time with his kid. And you know what happened? We were working super, super hard, pulling late-nighters. And Jay, he got sick. It was some sort of a heart issue. This is a man in his late 40s. And one day, he didn't show up for work. We heard that he went to the hospital. And then a week later, Jay passed away. Now, the company I was working with treated him really well. Leadership spoke well of him. We had a moment of silence for him, and it was all good. But then I realized, about a month after this happened, it's almost as if the man didn't exist. He was entirely forgotten in the workplace. It's as if he had never been. So that's pretty rough. Something that really troubled me in this area happened earlier this year. My wife had a health crisis, and from it, she became disabled, well, partially disabled. In this crisis and the aftermath of it, I just realized that tomorrow isn't promised to us, that we're not guaranteed to have these good days and good years ahead of us. And so with sort of like the limited amount of time that we have, it just seems almost not worth it to spend that kind of time with big tech. So yeah, over the years, these kind of thoughts were swirling in my head, right? Certainly in the recent couple of years. But aside from these sort of intrinsic factors, there are practical extrinsic factors as well. In my industry, there has been these macro factors like interest rate changes, like the availability of offshore resources, the emergence of AI tools. These sort of things dramatically reduces the incentive for big tech companies to to keep their US employees dramatically. So naturally in the entire sector, there has been layoffs, mass layoffs, one after the other. And my former employer is no different. There were several rounds of layoffs. And in this last one, I learned through the grapevines that I was on the list. But there were others that are on the list too. I had an opportunity of saving the jobs of several of my more junior colleagues. And that's what I decided to do. I put myself to the top of that list. And that's how I got laid off. That's how I got laid off. Now, my employer is a very good company. They gave us an adequate warning period while we were still technically employed, but I could look for jobs outside. And they gave a very decent severance. So all of that, I have to be thankful to my former employer. And there's no question about it. So that leads me to where we are now. Basically, I was on a journey with a known destination, and now I'm off of that track. It feels as if I've been dropped into this sort of wilderness, no man's land, where there are many different trails and paths forward, but nothing is decided. Nothing is concrete. So I've been sitting here. It's been 2 weeks since I was laid off. And I was thinking about, how do I move forward? What should I do? Because this is a real inflection point in my life, right? I need to figure out, how do I structure a life that is productive, mentally and physically healthy, and wholesome and rich after this event? And that's pretty much why I'm vlogging myself. I just want to document my own internal thoughts and rants for the future. And maybe I can sort of document this journey for others who may be in the same boat as me. The future is the undiscovered country. It's unwritten. I gotta figure out and write that story. Anyway, thanks a lot for watching. Talk soon. Bye.
I hope and pray this information was valuable to you. I hope it was entertaining. I hope it was educational. And again, I keep saying this. This is not a doom and gloom channel. This is not a anti-9-to-5 job channel. We're not here to, to tell people to quit their jobs or not to find a job. If anything, it's the opposite. Keep your job, find work, but you have to play it smart. In terms, you have to be the world is changing and evolving, right? It is always and constantly changing and evolving. We have to make sure we keep changing and evolving with the world, or we will be left behind. That's just how it fucking works. Because the current job market has changed and it's not going back, meaning the whole job security thing is dead. It's gone. There's no such thing as job security anymore. You are crazy if you think your job is looking out for your best interest. You are delusional. Having a job is a business transaction. That's all it is. It's all business. Don't think you owe anyone loyalty. Don't think because they give you a job, you now have to be loyal to that company. You have to be loyal to your time. That's the truth. Because you best believe that corporation will look out for themselves before you any day. Because they're not loyal to you. They don't have to. And that's not how business works. Business is very cold, black and white. We shake hands, we sign papers. I'm here to provide a service to you. You pay me, and that's it. There's no friendship. There's no buddy. It's not. It doesn't mean you have to be mean and disrespectful. Of course not. Be very professional. You're here to provide a service, and they pay you for it, and you go home with your money. You collect your money and go to hell home. Tomorrow, same thing. It's all business. This is exactly how corporations run, and you should run yourself as a business too, to make sure you do not ever think you have to be loyal to a company by doing such things because there's some type of emotional investment involved, if that makes any sense. There's nothing emotional with corporations towards you. They know for a fact this is just a business transaction, because when they don't need your service anymore, you're going to be laid off, fired, and guess what? You can't take it personal because it's a business move. If having you doesn't make sense anymore, they have to get rid of you. If having them doesn't make sense for you anymore, you must do the same exact thing. Get rid of them. Benefit yourself. Look out for yourself first. I'm telling you, this is how corporations run themselves. They come first, you come second, or you don't come at all. Right? They could care less about you. It's just a business transaction. That's it. So again, hope this video made sense. Hope it was valuable. And I very much hope you have a fantastic life. If you do decide to do something on your own, I wish you all the best. And I cannot wait for you to do something incredible with your life by running your own operation, whatever that is. Whatever that is. Good luck to you. Much love.